If I had to say what is the most common theme that I see to an 800 FICO score, it is that somebody has at least one, but probably more like two or three credit cards that they've had for over 7 years. I think about the highest FICO score that I've seen on paper, and that would be the it was classic FICO model of an eight. It was an 841.
Oh,
And so
okay.
he had, the reason he had this 841 is because
Hello and welcome to the Me Financial Podcast. I am Michelle Moses, your host. I am a certified financial planner, realtor, and former e-commerce site owner. And today I am here with Patrick Ritchie, and we are going to be talking about all things credit. And Patrick is a mortgage broker of over 20 years and the author of The Credit Roadmap. It's a written guide for readers to take control of their credit. He has extensive experience teaching finance at both the Ohio State and Arizona State University and is approved instructor with the Arizona Department of Real Estate and an approved instructor with the Arizona Association of Realtors. He has a Master of Legal Studies and Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you inviting me here.
So let's say you have an 800 credit score. And so what are some things that those people are normally thinking about, I guess?
Yeah, so the 800 FICO score crowd, their biggest danger is not utilizing the credit cards that they already have. So if
Okay.
you think about what is going into a credit score, and we're typically talking the FICO score, obviously. There's other scores out there. But from the standpoint of what is feeding that, what is creating that 800 FICO score? Well, usually it is going to be history. It's how long is that history? So you have a credit card that has an indefinite life, it has this indefinite history. Maybe I've had it for 20 years, 30 years, once it gets to 7 years, it really will have a monumental effect on somebody.
Oh, so once you have your credit card for 7 years and you've been paying on it, obviously, and you don't have all the 30 days late and things like that, then it really like supercharges your credit.
It supercharges the credit. And if I had to say what is the most common theme that I see to an 800 FICO score, it is that somebody has at least one, but probably more like two or three credit cards that they've had for over 7 years, probably well over 7 years, probably we're talking decades, that they've kept at a low balance, that they haven't had any 30 days late on in the past 7 years.
Because it needs to be like you need to keep all your balances under 50%, but if under 35% is the best, right?
That's the goal.
Okay.
And so
a lot of times what people do is they have multiple credit cards and then they just use some of the credit on each one of them. And that's the best way to do it. Okay.
And to give you an idea, a lot of times I'll see where somebody might have a 740 FICO. And it's because their credit card balances are maybe higher than they normally would be. Maybe they came back from vacation. Maybe it's holiday season, whatever. And so as soon as they pay that balance down, their scores may then jump to 810. So
it goes up that quickly.
Once it reports again. So, whenever, the timing, you never know the exact timing because of when a creditor is going to actually report to the three credit bureaus. But once they do pay that down, it's buoyant. It will bounce right back. I think about the highest FICO score that I've seen on paper, and that would be it was classic FICO model of an 8. It was an 841.
Oh, okay.
And so he had, the reason he had this 841 is because he had an American Express card that he had since 1967. So that tells us another thing. If I close out a credit card, I'm probably going to see my credit score go down depending on what the age of that account was. So the older it is, the better. But if I lose it, if I close it myself, or the biggest pitfall for the 800 FICO score crowd is that a credit card that they've had a long-standing history on gets closed due to inactivity. Inactivity is the biggest danger for people with an 800 FICO score.
So you want to make sure you're using whatever credit that you have.
If you go 2 to 3 years without using a credit card, it's very likely going to be closed down due to inactivity, and you lose that history.
And I remember years ago, I used to go through my credit report and I would cancel the credit cards that I wasn't using, which was kind of not a good thing, I don't think, because I would cancel, whatever, JCPenney or Macy's or whatever I wasn't using. And so that might not have been a good thing. And what I think of when you're saying all of this is, so I have these credit cards where I get travel benefits or hotel benefits, right? Yep. But they cost money every single year to have. So what I'm discovering is that I'm using the Hilton one a lot and I like using Hilton, and that's where we travel. Whereas the Marriott, their rewards program isn't as great for us. and I'm wanting to cancel that one. And so I'm not going to want to keep that one open as long. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to want to keep paying the fee. So I could see keeping them open if they're free.
Exactly.
Versus like, it's a commitment if you're paying that yearly fee, and you got to kind of make sure. So I guess that's the game that the credit cards are playing, right? Is that some of these people, you are going to keep that credit card for a really long time.
Yeah, if I had a credit card that was charging an annual fee for the rewards program that I'm in, I have to decide, is it worth it? If it's just $100 a year, not that big. If it's $200 a year, not that big of a deal. But in the same sense,
see, to me, even $95, I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay that.
But in the same sense, I've seen people close out because I look at credit reports so often where I can't help but look to see, okay, what could have made this score higher? So let's say we have somebody at a 750. And I'm looking at them like, oh, they had a credit card that they had for 20 years and they closed it 6 months ago, or they closed it 12 months ago. And so I inevitably will ask, why did you close that Citibank card? Oh, it was a rewards card and it was charging me $100 a year. So I closed it. I'm like, you probably just lost 70 points.
And that's going to increase, right? So it increases their mortgage that much.
Yeah. So you have to look at it from a standpoint, if I'm paying $100 in an annual fee, what is the financial benefit
if I'm going to be going to buy a house?
History,
yeah,
and always be cream of the crop. And sometimes when somebody has really high FICO scores, they start taking it for granted on how they got there.
Right.
And we all know, pay everything on time. Don't get any 30 days late. That's the big thing. But making sure that we don't lose that history. That's the thing that people forget about.
Okay.
And because they look at the $100 annual fee, they're not looking at, I've got a 20-year history. It would take me 20 years to get this account again. It's worth $100. In 22 years of doing this, I can tell you, I've heard it many, many times. This is the last house I'm ever going to buy. I'm not going to need my credit anymore.
And then they need a house. Yeah.
They need something.
Right. And with the college people and building credit, right? So, okay, so you have a great credit. And I do think that that's something that we think about, is how do we help our kids also get better credit? Is so co-signing, or how does that happen?
Yeah. And so we always have to be careful with co-signing, but it kind of going back to the idea of keeping credit cards open. If I keep a credit card open, maybe I'm not really using it. Like I have this Best Buy card that I've had for a long time. I don't really need a whole lot from Best Buy, but at least once a year, I'll go buy something at Best Buy so that I have, so I at least have enough history that they're not going to close it due to inactivity.
Okay.
So if I wanted to help, my oldest son is 19. If I wanted to help out my oldest son to build credit, I could add him on as an authorized user to that Best Buy card. And then that history, he's now getting a 15-year history on his credit report. That's going to be a major.
So you pick the oldest credit card, and then add them as a cosigner.
Add them as a cosigner.
Okay, so you're not
as a cosigner, but as an authorized user.
Authorized user. Okay, so cosigner is when they would go get a loan, and you would cosign it. So you don't want to do that, but you want to
avoid that if we can.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to, there's no choice. That's just what would have to happen to make what the goal is. We can't reach the goal without cosigning. Sometimes that's like when it comes to buying a car, or perhaps when it comes to a mortgage. But adding as an authorized user could definitely make it better and easier for somebody to qualify.
Okay.
Because now they're seeing a boost in their credit score,
right,
based on the history of that account.
Okay, so using the oldest credit card and then adding them as an authorized user.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. That's a great idea.
So that's a big one. So the biggest question I would have is, well, what if the person I'm adding as an authorized user, what if they have any issues on their credit? Does that come back to me? And the answer is no, it's isolated to just that account. Now, legally, what we need to realize as an authorized user is if I add somebody on as an authorized user, I need to really trust that person.
That they're not going to run it up, right?
I don't have to have a card issued to them, but if they got a hold of the card, any charges they make, that would never be fraud. Because sometimes people will call, past clients will call, and they'll say, hey, I let my sibling or I let my oldest child, I had them on as an authorized user. They took the credit card and maxed it out. Is that fraud? Well, it's not fraud because you authorized it.
Yeah, that's not fraud.
So we have to think in those terms of, I'm giving.
That would just be like, oh, I messed up. Sorry.
Exactly. So that's the thing that people need to be aware of.
All right. Well, thank you for that story.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all the stories, and thank you for being on. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to leave a review and subscribe and tell your friends. I hope this helped clear up any confusion and just made your financial world feel more free. So thank you so much for listening.